The Center for High Natural Resources was established 10 years ago. It's a part of the Nord University, and being a part of university, we need to look at the future and contribute to solutions. The vision of our centers is actually what Scott Miller just talked about. We want to contribute to create the best possible Arctic transport solution, Arctic logistics solution in the future. And we have gained a lot of experience over the last 10 years to be a part of that development. And also allow me to say, I also have to thank Senator Murkowski and Scott Miller for the great work. And as President Grimston mentioned, Scott Miller was actually appointed a hero in Norway, hero of the Arctic at the High North Dialogue in Bodø, which is also a conference, not at this league, a small conference, but important for the future leaders in the Arctic. So you're welcome to come to Bodø as well if you're engaged. This year conference, we actually appointed also a big Arctic hero, Mr. Bob Correll. He's also a famous Arctic scientist. And in one of his speeches, he said, the most important now for the Arctic is actually to focus on Arctic shipping. It's a huge challenge for the future, and we need to do this in a sustainable way. So I will try to in this presentation, explain where we are as a center in this global picture, which you heard a bit about. Many people have asked these questions to me. Kjell, you must be glad that the sea ice is melting, because this gives more work to you. And I have to say strongly, though, we are very scary about that development. And we at the center will try to do our best to find good solution where we have less footprint, and we can do this in the most sustainable way. So the future at university, as a university center, we look at the future and we try to contribute to solutions. And one of the things we are looking closely here is to solve all the global challenges. And as a big university rooted in the business schools, we're trying to fit solution in on that. And as we have heard, the population is growing. There is a high demand of energy the next years, and also a lot of food need to be produced. And of course, being in the Arctic, this is so important that we find a solution for that food production in the Arctic. We see as the climate change, the fish species moves. We are deeply concerned about that. I come from the Lofoten Island, which is in the center of this. And we need to find a solution how we could, in this area, be a part of that value creation for the future as well. We are strongly rooted in the work with the Sustainable Development Goals, and as we heard, infrastructure is actually in the center, also a part of most of it. So it's important that we do this in the best way for the future. So what do we need to do? It's the question we ask us at universities. And we try, and we have a big innovation center at University of Work as well, to help us to understand this in the best possible way. Of course, we have very focused on the circular economy. Access to sustainable development of raw materials. I said org there, but it has to be off. It's important. We need to move up the value chain. Coming from Lofoten Island, we are just exporting the fish whole out to the market. We need to come up that way. And as we speak, there is a lot of ongoing work in Lofoten about taking more resources out of the cod. And in fact, the biggest fish-producing company now in Norway is established now in the Lofoten Island, producing fish products and other type of products in a quite rapid way. So in these slides, I'm just putting salmon in the bottom. We need to move further up, going into new technology. And this is one way of creating more value in our region. This is a way of keeping the production there and create value back to the regions. Access to energy, we have talked a bit about. At our center, we're looking at that, of course, and we need to get also this transported out. In our center, we have expertise not only in logistics and export, we also have an excellent Icelandic researcher who have a background in renewable energy. We have shipping experts, we have people from China, from Russia working at our center. And we pull all these resources together to do the best efforts when it comes to the future. Also, access in investment, you heard, and I'm very pleased and very happy for Scott Millen and our Economic Councils recently following up with the new this investment protocol. This is extremely important. We do all the investment in line with these protocols. Access to infrastructure is, of course, at the heart of our work. And we are focused also to look at the integration, as we talked about, integration about rail, shipping, roads, and air transport. And also connectivity as a part of this infrastructure development. At our center, we also produce report, and this year's report we have, together with the Business Index North, we have focused on maritime transport and infrastructure along the Northern Sea route. And you're welcome later on to join us for a breakup session where we will go more deep dive into this report. In the report, you will find information not only about the shipping, but also we look at figures of economic growth. I know it's very focused at the moment on the Scandinavian regions and Northwest Russia, but the report intends to expand to take more at the circumpolar Arctic. And it's quite fascinating because we compare figures from all the countries, and it has to be very accurate work so we can actually compare it. And I'm just taking this in because this shows the next year's expansion. We want to take Yamal County into the work. And as you heard earlier these 2 days, Yamal is in the core heart of the Arctic development in the moment. And the result on the investment there you can see here. Actually a growth, an economic growth, which is very high, actually at the highest in like Northern Norway. But also you can see it in the population change. As you know in the north, we struggle with population, people moving out. And we struggle to find good solutions to keep them. We struggle to find good researchers. That's probably we have people from all over the world working for us to get into the north to keep them there. But what we also discover is that if you do education in the north, people, they stay in the north if they take their degree there. So that's important for us. And I have to mention that also this year we're starting up a new program at the university together with the East Normal University here in Shanghai. You can do a joint master. You can actually come to Bodø and study half a year. You can do a half a year in Shanghai. And the most important bit in this is actually including Russia. The third semester you can do in Moscow. By that, we're creating a better understanding of the Arctic, including China. We mentioned Yamal, so I will not go so much into details here, but this is, of course, at the moment, the key driver for the Northern Sea route. And it's going to be that for the next years to come. The reason for this is in Russia you have the access to the mineral resources in this area, and easy accessible, and there is a lot of investment going on to develop these fields. We heard about LNG yesterday, that tracks where you have a big Chinese investment is going ahead of schedule, and also the project LNG2 is under the way. And they actually built a base outside Murmansk where they're going to construct a whole new platform that this is going to be put on offshore outside the coast of Yamal. This is some of the figures that you can find in our report. This is something we have done monitoring for many years. And this shows, as we heard earlier, a doubling of the transport of the goods the last year. And this is going to increase quite dramatically the next few years. What we also looked at in our center is looking at infrastructure development. And there is a lack of infrastructure in the eastern part of the Northern Sea route. But it's improving. Russia is investing in this, and there is a positioning here to get more of the goods into new ports along the Northern Sea route. And I was 3 weeks ago at St. Petersburg Arctic Forum in a discussion panel with all the governors of the Russian northern part. And most of them are afraid to be left in the back seat. They see at the Yamal region that this is important for our regions to be a part of that development. And also we started to look, as we heard yesterday, that it's so important to have people living in the region engaged in this development. So at our center, we're starting new education programs together with indigenous population from these republics to see how we can train them, build capacity, as we heard Senator Murkowski mention, it's important. And to get the youth in this district, to look at innovative solution, being an indigenous youth for the future, for this district. And this is something that we think is very interesting, and I think that's extremely important for the future, to get this on board in this development. We also have looked very closely to our region where we are established. We have our headquarters in Kirkenes, which is at the Russian border, and you can see in the center of this map. And also, which you heard yesterday, that there was signed an agreement on Thursday morning. I was actually there in Rovaniemi, where they wanted to find a solution of building a new Arctic railway between Kirkenes and Rovaniemi. So the intention there is to look at the future potential of using private investment to fund such a railway. Quite interesting project. And the agreement is between the local municipalities and a private company who is at the moment building the Helsinki Tunnel project. And as you have seen, this is a part that could be a major contributor to the future Arctic logistics system. And also put Kirkenes on the map when it comes to potential transshipment and transloading of goods in the area. At the moment, we see the LNG coming out of Sabetha is transshipped at Honningsvåg, as you see on the north of that map. And that's going. It's actually up to 6 ships at the same time waiting in the fjord, and there is 3 ongoing at the moment. Also, you will see more of this if you go to our next session, but here is some of the maps, and in these maps, it's interactive. You'll find it on the webpage. You can look at the traffic and the statistics. And this is showing all the traffic along the sea route. Please note there's only 27 transits, and that's something that might change radically in the future. And we will discuss that later on today. We heard also about COSCO, who is very engaged in this, and here you can find traffic data about their ships and the movements of the ships. I mentioned the transshipment, and here you see the advanced tankers from Murmansk coming in, from Sabetha, and it's outside Honningsvåg, reloading to ordinary tanker and moved out to the markets in Europe. And we also heard about Venta Maersk passing through, which is a game changer when it comes to thought of using this as a potential cargo route also for containers. I just want to conclude with this slide. This is showing the potential cargo of the Northern Sea Route, and I got this from Rosatom, who's not able to make it to come here to this conference, but it shows the potential. And Russia has set a target of 80 million tons by 2024. They're a good way of reaching this. And of course, there is some projects that need to be completed to go, but if this comes through and they follow the plan, this is going to be the result. To sum this up, I made a small planche when it comes to knowledge strategy, and it looked like this. So in the middle of our work, we need to develop more work on knowledge management and knowledge development. And this is something we need to look more closer to. At the moment, we're only spending 7% of our research funding on social science. Most go in climate and health. This needs to be increased if you want to do this in a more sustainable way. Thank you, and thank you for your time.